Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another World in Rooview. How y'all doing tonight? Hey, I heard furries like dancing. Well, unfortunately, I just like poles. Maybe we could compromise. I could pole dance for you. Didn't think that one through, did I? I came out all wrong. Oh, I even messed up my face. Look at this. I'm all flummoxed. All flummoxed. Ugh. Anyways, let's talk about poles. Sans dancing. You don't want to see me pole dance. Anyways, shut up, whoever's talking to me. Anyways, I want to talk to you about polls today, and an interesting poll that I read. And before I get into this poll, he said, "No, another one of these polls. I've had enough of these polls. 2016, get it go away already." I hear a lot about individuals who are like, "Don't vote for third parties; they're a waste of your vote. You know, vote for one of the two main parties because they have a chance to win, and vote for the two that are closest in winning so that you can vote against the other guy. Don't vote for the third parties. Don't vote for the third parties. Waste your vote." I'm going to show you a poll today that shows you that third party is only a matter of perception. And what I mean by that is I read this article and saw this particular statistic that they noted, and I was completely blown away. So I'm going to share this with you, but I'm going to build up to it really, really slowly. Even though the title kind of gives it away a little bit, maybe. But how bad is it really? Well, if you haven't watched this channel before, I made a little rant video after Donald Trump's reaction to the Orlando incident this year, the Orlando tragedy that took the lives of many of our fellow citizens. I made an impassioned rant, and you can watch that video here. It was very emotional, very much in the moment, and just like any emotional in the moment thing, I made a statement that was pretty pointed and not backed up by a lot, but just very emotional. And that was, if they nominated Donald Trump to the Republican Party, that the Republican Party may end up going the way of the Whiggs. Now, for those not knowing, Whiggs were a party in the United States before the Civil War that were basically taken, like they basically got ruffled. They were one of the main two parties at the time, and they got basically defeated by the Republicans, who were a brand new, fresh, yapping, strapping party. Even though we call it the grand old party, it's actually the younger party of the main two that we have right now. Democrats have been here since the beginning. And Republicans are the ones that took out the Whigs. But when the first Republican president, who was, Abraham Lincoln, won presidential office, it basically triggered the Civil War. Because both the Whigs and the Democrats didn't really want to move on the whole, pro-freedom, anti-slavery movement. They didn't want to push on that. So the Republican Party was pushing more towards pro-freedom of, African-American slaves at the time. And so the rest, as they say, is history. And that rant and this thing is history. I didn't have polls to back it up that the Republican Party could go the way of the Whigs. But tonight, that all changes. There's numbers to back up my claim. A Marist poll was done in early August, about a weekish so after the Democrat convention, and around the time that Donald Trump started to flummox in there, to start to take a dip in his numbers because of the listless things that he did that had nothing to do with the Orlando incident, but every other incident since then on his list of endless gaffes. There's super gaffes, I should say. He's a gaff category 5. But that aside, let's go to the polls. So let's work our way into this. We'll start easy. So it all comes from the same Marist poll. I made little pie charts because I love a pie to the face. And having visual aids. This is the first time I've had visual aids on my program. Isn't that nice? nice little pie chart I made. Just so happened the colors all match up too. It's very nice, very neat. So anyways, now that I moved my face out of the way of the pie, let's talk about the actual numbers. So this is 60 plus. So the people in the poll who are 60 plus, this is the breakdown of the four-way race. They had a choice. They had the choice of all four major people who will probably be on most ballots. A majority of ballots will have all four of these people. A few won't have Stein. Every one of them will have Johnson. So basically everyone will have Johnson, Trump, and Hillary Clinton nationwide. Some people won't have Stein in their states. I don't know what states they are off the top of my head. But this poll has a four-way race. So here we see a kind of standard setup. We have Hillary Clinton taking a little, almost half, and then Donald Trump having a little bit of a thing. So as I said, this was after all the gaffes following the Democrat convention. So it's not as even as it was back, when back earlier, like 3 weeks ago. So here we have this interesting little chart. And so it's a standard chart. Nothing to write home about. We've seen this before. So this is kind of the idea behind the two arguments of like, don't vote third party, it wastes your vote. So like, Donald Trump people really want the third party voters to vote for him so that he can actually beat Hillary, and Hillary Clinton wants the third party voters to vote for her so she gets a more comfortable lead. They're competing against one another, so they want to take those undecideds and those individuals over there, and that's where the whole original argument comes from. But as I said, we're going to prove today that third party is really relative to who you are. So let's go a little younger, shall we? So we're at 45 to 50 at this point. So numbers still kind of close-ish on the Republican-Democrat. They're still the main two big parties. But we do notice a decrease in both sides a little bit more from the Republicans than the Democrats, but still a sizable chunk taken out of both parts, and all going to the third parties and undecideds. So this chart's kind of a weird little thing. The Democrats are less than half, but not quite, a little more than a third. So it's like between a half and a third. Republicans are a little more than a third, just by a little bit. And the third parties are a little less than a third. So this, if you're seeing a national average poll, this is probably about where they kind of fall in. So still kind of standardish. Nothing to write home about. Let's move on. Let's go younger. Here is the 30 to 44 demographic. My demographic. I'm getting such oldness. I'm still young at heart. And that's all that matters. Anyways, as you can see, the Democrats actually raise up a little bit here. Just by a little bit. Just by a teensy bit. Republicans continue to go down by quite by a bit of a chunk. Gary Johnson's at 14%, and the Green Party's at a pretty sizable amount, a little more than the undecideds even. Like they're a little more decisive. They like decisive. But as we notice, the Republicans are decreasing a little faster than the Democrats. So we have one more demographic to cover. The 18 to 29 demographic. Are you ready for this? I don't think you're ready for this. I'll let you make some guesses. So, trending in this direction, obviously things will probably trend in the same direction, like we expect the patterns. Well, so maybe Donald Trump gets like 20 and Johnson gets like 20. Maybe they come close, they tie. Jill Stein kind of probably might have like 12, maybe. Like, what? So Donald Trump should still kind of be in second, right? He's fine, right? And, Johnson will get really close to him, but, it should be fine. I say no. Put your expectations a little bit, think a little weirder. Okay, Donald Trump's in third place. Let's go that weird. Let's go that strange. Donald Trump gets third place. Johnson gets second place. Green Party still gets like fourth. Like, she's got 10%, but Donald Trump still gets like 15 or 12 or something like that. And you know, Johnson's got like 18 or something, and then Hillary's got a large chunk, and like she's still pretty healthy size. And no, you're not thinking hard enough. You're not thinking weird enough. I'm telling you, Donald Trump is the third party here. And let me show you the scary. If you are a Republican, I am not playing tricks on you, and I'm not playing tricks on anyone here. The colors are the same as they've always been. The key has not changed. The red still stands for Trump. The yellow still stands for Libertarian. The green still stands for Green, and the blue still stands for Hillary. This chart right here is my rant in a nutshell. This right here should be the wake-up call that the Republican Party, if you're not paying attention, should have, because this is the future. If you're worried about the Republican Party, if you're worried about your ideals and you know that morphs into another party, then so be it. And if it's the Libertarian Party is what it morphs into, that's fine. But if you really love the Republican Party, if you really love those elephants, this is bad. This is really bad. Look at this. Jill Stein beats Donald Trump. I said third, right? We said third? Oh, second? No, fourth. And a pretty good solid fourth, too. 9% voted for Donald Trump. 9%. He's tied with the undecided voters. Like the people who are like, I don't know who I'm voting for yet in this age demographic, are the same amount of people who are going, oh yeah, I'm voting for Donald Trump in this demographic. That's, ooh. This gives you chills. This is like, you show, so to people in this demographic from 18 to 29, if you ever hear an old person say, don't vote for a third party, don't vote for a third party, it's a waste of your time. You show them this little pie chart and you say, you're correct. Voting for Donald Trump is a waste of my time. Because he's the third party in my age group. In your age group, he might be the second party. In this age group, he's the third party. Gary Johnson's the second party. Jill Stein's coming close to being the second party. There's this interesting thing happening in this 2016 election. The future of this country is getting very interesting indeed. It's becoming more dynamic. It's rejecting the idea of the two-party system. It is bound and determined to overcome the very thing that George Washington, the very first president of the United States, railed so hard against. And that is the two-party system dividing and conquering the people like political pawns. This generation right here has rejected that notion. Rejected it hard. And here's the thing, Republicans are the ones getting the worst off at the end. But if you notice here, the Democrats aren't doing so hot either. Like this thing is almost split up into things that you can't really call anyone a first party anymore. I mean, the Democrats are still pretty healthy, but if you compare it to the other three charts that I showed, the numbers are smaller for the Democrats. And you hear that in the tweet, in the Twitterverse, and on the left, when you listen to the left, they get scared about the burned individuals, the people who are voting for the Jill Steins within their age group. And typically it's the younger liberals that worry about that kind of thing, because if you look at this chart, a lot of the younger liberals are going for Jill Stein, who might have gone for Hillary otherwise if Jill Stein didn't exist. Which, by the way, is also another stupid thing I hate about, just as a little rant. It's like people who go, well, if you didn't vote, like if the third party didn't vote, you'd vote for Hillary Clinton. It's like, you can't determine that. You can't, here's the thing. as much as everyone hates every liberal person hated the results of the 2000 election, you cannot prove that the people who voted for Ralph Nader would have voted for Al Gore if Ralph Nader did not exist. You can't prove it. Either one of two things would happen. Number one, you are right, and they do that. Or number two, they don't show up to the polls at all because they don't believe. Here's the thing about people who vote for third parties that you need to understand. If they're voting for third parties, they feel so passionate about their loser that they're not going to vote for your winner just because they're your winner. People don't. It's like. Well, here's the thing. That argument led to its extreme would be like, well, if every other candidate wasn't running for office, everyone would vote for my candidate. Okay, so let's say Hillary Clinton, Johnson, Stein, and everyone else who's running for president drops out of the race. You think everyone's going to show up to the polls to vote for Trump even though he's the only choice? No. They're going to stay home. They're not going to want to put their voice. They're going to vote present. Like, I'm here. You know what they do in Congress when they don't agree with yes or no, or they're like present. Like, if they're voting on a resolution, it's like, I vote present. It's like, I'm not saying I don't like this thing, it's just I don't want to vote for a resolution because I think they're a waste of time. That ran aside. So, millennials, you get out, if you feel like, oh, I don't want to vote, it's like it's a waste of my time, and don't let anyone tell you that. Because if you vote the way you're going to vote, I tell you this, if the youth show up in numbers, if youth show up in a bad numbers, because the people who are younger outnumber the people who are older as a demographic. If this is a good slice of the 18 to 29 demographic, they outnumber the rest of it. Like every generation outnumbers the rest of us. That's how generations work. Even if the boomers, even if there's a lot of boomers and there's a little bit thing, so there is a little bit of the roller coaster thing. But if you show up in the numbers, you can start pushing the polls in a direction that no one's ever seen them go before. You can start to make. You could make if you push hard enough, you can make Republicans third place. Seriously. I mean, look at that. Don't let anyone tell you who to vote for just because you're not voting for their candidate. Because everything that you hear is an excuse. That don't vote for third parties or don't vote for that. Those are excuses. Everyone's trying to get their guy to win. Okay? That they're trying to get Hillary to win. They're trying to get Trump to win, and everyone who wants and really feels for those two, they're so afraid of the other one winning that they'll tell you that don't even bother voting for third parties. But vote for third parties is better than not showing up at all, in my mind. To the people who voted for Nader in 2000, good on you. Good on you, because you showed up and voted. Even if people disagree with how you voted, you showed up and voted, you did your job. I don't think you would have voted for Al Gore if you had any other choice. So, go out and vote the way you want to vote, is the long and the short of it. Because these numbers here could happen if you start doing that. And, they're very fascinating numbers to me. And I'm not afraid of them whatsoever. Bring it on. Bring on the chaos, you crazy, crazy 18 to 29-year-olds. Bring on the crazy. That is so weird, guys. 4th place, Donald. Wow. Anyways, that's all for today. I'll go back to full mode. I'm going to get the hop out of here. And I'm sorry that it wasn't pole dancing like I teased, I suppose. Well, guess, you know what? This is YouTube, right? You get me 100 views, or 1,000, give me 1,000 views. You give me 1,000 views, I'll pole dance for you. Give me 1,000 views on this video. Don't even have to watch the whole thing. Just 1,000. Just like what, 100 times more than most of my average videos get? Sure, why not? Let's shoot for the moon. 1,000 views on this video, I'll pole dance for you. I'll get an actual pole and I'll actually dance for you. That's the deal, right? I'm gonna extort you for views. That's how it works. That's how YouTube works. That's how the internet works. But anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something today. And this November, no matter what happens, you just get out there and vote. No matter who you are, no matter what crazy person you want to go vote for, whether you be crazy or whether you be mainstream, whatever. Just do it. Just do it. See you later.